some of those.
I call it the God diet.
Okay.
Like if God doesn't make it, don't eat it.
That's a great theory.
Like, that's it. I mean, if it's,
I love
if
that.
it comes in a bag or a box, it's probably going to hurt you.
You're right, though.
Right?
Good morning and welcome to Get in the Know with KO. I'm your host, Kristen Adams, also known as KO, and I am super excited to jump right in to introduce you to a very special guest of a guest today, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. So I would like to introduce my friend, Sally. She is not just Sally, but she is also a doctor. So welcome to the show, Sally.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I am so excited that you're here. So just to kind of get things warmed up before we get into the nitty gritty of why we're here together, I'm going to throw out some rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Pancakes or French toast?
French toast.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Cats or dogs?
Oh.
I knew you wouldn't be able to choose, just like your daughter. All right, so we're going to say both?
Yeah.
Awesome. Texting or calling?
Texting.
Comedy or romance?
Comedy.
Yeah. Summer or winter?
Summer.
All right. I love it. Well, okay, so I actually learned a lot about guests by doing rapid fire, and I think we actually have a lot in common besides the fact that we both adore your daughter, Eva, who's going to be in our next episode. Everybody, you'll get to meet her soon. And that's how we met.
Yes, it is.
So we met under unfortunate circumstances, actually. So Eva's future mother-in-law's mom passed away, and being the lovely Greek family that they are, they had this big, beautiful Greek memorial service, and it was so lovely, wasn't it?
It was very beautiful.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, and it was nice afterwards to finally, get a chance to congregate and talk. And I knew it was you before we even were introduced, because I was like, oh my gosh, she looks just like Eva.
You also got to own the room.
Yeah, that's true. You did a good job with that. And meeting you, I immediately felt that same connection that I feel with your daughter, who I adore. And I see where she gets her good nature and personality and beauty from.
Aww.
So the reason I wanted you to come on the show, Sally, is one of the first things that I learned about you through our mutual relationship with your daughter is that you did something really amazing as a young woman and a young professional woman. You actually went back to school at 40. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh my God. What? Okay. And you became a doctor. So let's just throw that out there. I mean, she didn't just go back to school, gang, to get a degree. She became a doctor.
You got to do it big.
I mean, go big or go home, like literally. What was your motivation to go back to school?
I mean, like, it's hard to really pinpoint it, but it was a country song. My husband left me, my dad died, my dog died, I lost my job, I hurt my leg. Like, it was my rock bottom.
See, I have so much respect for that, and I think that's beautiful, because you took the pain and you used that as fuel to not just make your life better, but your family. You essentially, and you are leading by example and paving the way for your daughter and everybody else that you are in touch with, whether it's somebody that you know personally or someone who you've just met, myself included, who sees you as a true inspiration, not even knowing what brought you to that point. That's inspiring.
Right. Thank you so much. Just being a puppet really to our soul. And I never knew what that meant. The movie Avatar is one of my favorites. But, that's what our body really truly is
Yes.
the avatar of our soul. And it literally tells us what to do. But for so long, I was unaware, and people say maybe asleep, or I will not ever say woke.
No,
but
sometimes we get complacent. We get a little bit like, resting back in the comfort zone of, we wake up and we do the same routine because it's what we think we're supposed to be doing. And not,
or we've never healed our childhood traumas or our ancestral traumas, or
that's huge.
Mistakes we've made along the way because of them.
Yes.
Right. So
those are really important things.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people are becoming aware of how the things that happen to us as children And sometimes it doesn't, I think people assume childhood trauma means you have to be abused or
Yeah,
neglected. And
no.
that's actually not the
I was
case.
neither of those.
I
Neither
wasn't
of those.
either.
Yeah.
But I still had moments in childhood that impacted me as an adult. And you're right. You have to wrap your arms around that, digest it, and make some decisions about it.
Right.
Now, that's actually a perfect segue into something that I think it's so important to me, and I'm super in love with the fact that it's important to you, holistic medicine.
Yes.
So I got to just turn around and face you because
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I really
You
want
gotta
to
square up
I really want to be like
and crush your feet,
understanding.
not your legs.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm doing it wrong, but listen, I want my guests to get in the know about their health and how to start. Now, I know it can seem overwhelming, and a lot of people assume that living a healthy lifestyle is expensive. But my theory is, Sally, pay now or pay later.
Exactly.
I would rather pay now for good food and nutrition and better products, because everything, if you put it on your skin, it's leaching into your blood, all those things. But also the things that we're exposing ourselves to, laundry detergent, like there's so many layers, right?
Too many. I mean, it's just a little tiny bit of a billion things. So that's the toxicity, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, we all have cancer cells inside of our body. It's just a matter of balancing out the health and physical and emotional.
Right.
Because if the body doesn't truly know the difference between physical pain or emotional pain.
Yeah. Now, stress and anxiety is like one of the number one things that will damage not just your emotional state of mind, but your gut health.
Physical, sure.
And that's our biome, right? Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, our brain is really there just to make our heart beat and receive a message from the outside world that it's cold, to go get a coat, or things like that. It's not there for emotional, to figure out emotional stuff.
That's what makes us humans.
Right, right. So a lot of people, just aren't even aware that this is a thing. So are you hunched over like this because you're scared and hurt, or does your low back hurt, or
right?
Do you have poor posture? Are you sleeping?
That's me. That's me first thing in the morning. My lower back usually hurts and I can't even put my own socks on, but that's a whole other story. I've learned how to stretch, and, I play tennis and pickleball, and I've learned that recovery is just as important as the pre-workout, stretching and all those things. So let's connect the dots, Dr. Sally.
Yeah.
What type of medicine do you practice?
I am a chiropractor.
That's awesome. Okay.
So I pretty much remove the interference and from others. I'm not a healer. I wouldn't consider myself a healer. I'm just highly trained and passionate about letting people's nervous system flow freely so it could do its thing.
So you are enabling patients to heal themselves, essentially. So, I mean, you're saying you're not a healer, but in a way you are, because you're helping them educate themselves on the power of chiropractic care, which I thoroughly believe in. I was my grandfather was a chiropractor.
Beautiful.
So as a young girl, I was raised for two ways of knowing the importance of chiropractic care, but not just chiropractic care, good chiropractic care.
Sure.
Like every doctor, I always say, for every top of the graduating class, there had to be a bottom. So you have to choose wisely. So I think someone who's choosing you is obviously making a wise choice, because you are marrying holistic medicine with your medical education. I think that is so super important,
And my life experience.
That as well. So how does that play? Tell us.
You can't get past to fix the physical. As a chiropractor, I'm with somebody at the most, let's say they're seeing me 3 times a week in the very beginning, right? An hour and a half a week? Right. So all those hours in between, you're still going to go do the same things, especially if your emotional state is not even aware that it might be in dysfunction, right? So
true.
If we continue to do the thing, so chiropractic really isn't a quick fix, but it's something, it's maintenance. It's something that you have to do all the time to allow the system to flow freely.
Yeah.
Right? But how I work it with me is that my life experience now and the education, which as a middle-aged woman was shockingly challenging, and I'm pretty proud of myself that I got through it, but just working it all together. And
Yeah.
when I drop in with my patient, it's nothing but me and that person,
That's important to
Right.
build that. You have to have a certain level of trust and understanding, getting to know the patient, because, to look at someone on a piece of paper, you can read about maybe some of their ailments or concerns or maybe some of their health goals, but you're right, you have to really understand that patient. And do you also educate them on the power of nutrition
Of course, of
and
course.
some of
I
those?
call it the God diet.
Okay,
Like if God doesn't make it, don't eat it.
that's a great
Like
theory.
that's it. I mean,
Yeah, I love
if it
that.
comes in a bag or a box, it's probably gonna hurt you,
You're right, though.
right?
You know what I always say
So
too? A friend of mine shared this recently. I think it was on Facebook. If there's a health food section of the grocery store, what is everything else? Oh my gosh, I thought that was super powerful, because I'm like, that's so true. And it's amazing, during COVID, I don't know about you guys, but we got super comfortable ordering delivery dudes. I mean, I'm pretty sure we kept
still
delivery.
the same though.
Yeah, we kept them in business. And in my house, we have a lot of moving parts. We've got businesses, we've got sports, volunteering and commitments, carpooling,
Oh
driving,
my goodness.
all this stuff, right? And none of that's bad. I'm super grateful for every bit of it. But it tends to make meal planning a bit challenging. So we fell into the whole
Especially because we got spoiled with Uber Eats and
Exactly.
delivery dudes and things like that.
Well, some of it was fear-based because we didn't want to go out in public, and
I
then
just didn't want to wear a mask,
that too.
honestly.
Right. Well, I thought too, we're safest being home, right? I mean, if nothing else, regardless, we didn't know a lot of things. And I thought, if nothing else, we're safe being home. And I was totally good with that. But what I realized is I was eating more portion-wise. I was eating a lot of preservatives. I definitely was probably not eating organically for the most part.
Right.
I have no idea where this stuff was being sourced. Fast forward to where we are now. I'm going to give a plug really quick to a great friend of mine. She has an awesome shop right here off of Yamato Road. This is for the local people, obviously. If you're not local, this doesn't help you, and I'm so sorry. But it's a place called Garden Butcher. Now, it is a phenomenal place. She just recently got certified seed oil free. Everything in her place is clean. Now they do meal prep. You can also stop in and order a smoothie or a wrap or whatever you want. She has a little market with things already made. But I will tell you, I noticed the difference when I eat well, and I try my best. I've cooked a couple dinners already this week ahead of time, which I was like, yeah, I was so proud of myself. But when we eat at home, first of all, we're saving a ton of money.
Yeah.
Okay, there's that.
Less ingredients too. I mean,
Yes, that's so huge. I mean, a lot of people also don't understand, and I'm hoping you'll help shed some additional light on this. Inflammation does not always need medicine.
No.
Inflammation is the body's response to something not being right, or maybe a lack of something, right?
Well, it's bringing more space to the area. It's bringing fluid to the area so it can
Yes.
heal up, right?
Yeah.
And that's a chemical, right?
How do you recommend for your patients that say that they're struggling with inflammation? How do you recommend that they overcome that?
Well, to me, it all starts with emotional unintelligence. Without realizing that you just, you had a road rage on the way here and for whatever reason, and then you got to work and you were still, and then, just getting past, we have, availability to hundreds of emotions. Why stay stuck in a few? Or why not just fake it until you get to the green?
That's true.
Right?
That's
so
true.
the same thing. So you could eat all the good food and exercise and all these things and get adjusted or whatever it is. But if you aren't emotionally intelligent, then inflammation will never go.
That's true. And it helps to generate natural serotonin and dopamine into the body. I actually, for me, I've been through a good amount of trauma as a teenager and as a young woman. And for me, and this is what works for me. I mean, hey, for the listeners, if it works for you, I hope you take the advice, right? If not, then, this isn't for you. But doing something nice for someone else or offering a piece of advice for someone else, it actually becomes my own personal therapy because I realize I've learned something in my journey now. I'm able to share it with someone else or vice versa, and that immediately gives you that sense of clarity in your mind, peace in your heart, comfort in your gut. I mean, that's what works for me. And then some exercise, and I try to get a good amount of sleep. And I'm not big into alcohol. I'm actually very specific, even about the wine that I drink, because where does it come from? And the sulfates and sugar. Like, there's a lot of things that are not good for our organs, right?
Yeah, well, it has to be all balanced, and I'm not an angel myself, but you just eat to live.
Sure. So, as a doctor of chiropractic care, Sally, what is your go-to for stress or anxiety relief?
Usually it's sitting out in my backyard, just being out there. I love to be in the outdoors, and
that's powerful.
Just me and my well, that was the beautiful thing of Coronication, like that's what I call it.
Coronication. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Is that I was able to make my backyard the way it always wanted to be.
Yeah.
And
grounding, right, is important.
Yeah. And we're the only species on the planet that actually, when we work in the dirt, our serotonin and dopamine levels rise.
Yes.
So, I'm like, don't mind me. I'm just out here.
Yeah. So
getting high off my own stash,
That is so powerful. And you know what? Fun fact, growing up, I was often in trouble. No big surprise for people who know me very well. But my parents would often punish me with things like having to do yard work. And what I realized as an adult, I actually acquired a love for doing yard work. And I remember one of the first times my husband showed up at my house when we were just dating and still living separate lives. I had just finished cutting the grass, and I opened the door and I was literally covered in sweat and dirt. And he's like, what were you doing? And I was like, I was cutting the grass. And he's like, with a lawnmower?
It is one of my most favorite things.
Yeah, I love it. And I think it's important too. Like I try to take the kids outside and get them involved in that too. And we did a lot of that during, what did you call it?
Coronication.
Coronication. I'm going to try to remember that. That was actually really great. I do encourage people to go outside because you know what? Even if you're just having a moment, just getting away first of all, getting away from this. Okay, let's get into that.
Nuclear. It's literally nuclear.
Keep it away. I try to keep it away from my body. I mean, I actually have gone back to good old-fashioned headphones that plug in because they're not wireless, right? Like we have enough wireless stuff going on in our world. So the one that I keep the closest to me, which is literally going into my head, I try to make sure that they're not wireless. And
look at the Wi-Fi's going through us, microwave. Like, I mean, and do you ever see like Wi-Fi? Like they could take a picture of it, and it's really hard to find it actually, like in Google Photos or whatever.
Yeah.
But it looks like a live entity.
I remember when I was a kid and we would put food in the microwave and I would watch it. My mom would be like, step away from the microwave. And I think about that now. I'm like,
it's so real. That's so real.
Like, it's so dangerous.
Yeah, it's insane.
Well, it's kind of like the chemicals, like I always say to people, would you spray just a little bit of Windex on your food? Well, then why would you settle for food that's poisoned with artificial dyes and chemicals, right?
Right. Even holding a receipt.
What?
Holding a receipt. Like,
a receipt.
OMG.
What?
If you had a light that could hold a receipt for, I don't know, I'm always just holding it for whatever reason. I'll hold it for a long time.
Okay.
And like a black light. I don't know if that's the light that actually.
Yes.
And it shows like the yellow from the receipt. Wow. Then you look 5 minutes later, it's gone.
Wow. What's on it?
Those are the type. It's like the carbon something, what they're printing, the paper or something.
So there's chemicals that are leaching into
our bodies. And it mimics our hormones.
See, now, now that's a perfect segue to talking. This is not something that, I think most people, when you hear the word hormones, we associate immediately with women because, we're...
Well, listen to the word.
Right. Hormonal. Exactly. I mean, it is what it is. But it affects both men and women, right? Hormone balancing is important. And I think that understanding...
And we're being attacked.
Oh, Are we ever?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I've spent the last 5 years of my life unraveling the last 40. If that makes any sense math wise. I'm not very good at math, but you know what?
And the programming.
Yeah.
Now any movie or music I hear that I've always loved, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
They got diddied.
Exactly. It's so
Like,
so true. It's so true. And I think that you're right. But a lot of that, it all feeds into our bodies, and it's all connected in that big carousel of lifestyle, right?
And that's why service to others is everything.
100%. I know that is so true, and no matter what capacity. So how do you enjoy serving others besides your obvious successful practice?
Well, beyond the obvious, as a mom and wife, my most prized job ever, right?
Yes.
The obligatory, woman thing, right? I was a bartender for a million moons.
So you were a psychologist.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, and really good at it too.
Yeah.
Like, I had a full bar. Like, I had my people, and for so long, I wasn't really proud of that. I was like, you didn't have to really be educated to be a bartender or a waitress. You kind of just, learn from the hard knocks or whatever. And I was really good at it. So when I got to medical school, everyone's like, oh, I just went all these things they did. And most of them were straight from high school to undergrad, But it was just crazy because the bartending to me is everything about service. And I learned how to do that really fast and to accept every single person, no judging, no, like everything. And
you learned
and
a lot.
I don't poo-poo on it anymore.
No. And
it was the best stepping stone for anything.
And any job, and I tell our kids that because, two of them, obviously my oldest is working full time, and then our teenager, she's working now part time, but like work ethic is everything, whether you're doing chores at home or you're just beginning in a job. I always tell them no matter what you do, you have to do your best, or that's going to carry into other aspects of your life, right? And bartending is no exception, and I come from a background of hospitality. I actually spent almost 20 years in hotels.
Oh, wow. So, yeah,
I'm very familiar with the art of service, and I still love that to this day. I love hosting dinners at the house and gatherings, and I think that speaks a lot about
I could
us.
bust the table on Tuesday, like,
right?
I'm bringing all the food out,
Now, how do you respond when you go out and you have bad service?
Well, I still tip 20%, honestly.
Yeah,
but
same.
But
I tip more when the service is bad. You want to know why? Because I feel like no matter how bad that service was, that person is still they're serving me. They're literally waiting on me, and I never go out of my way to like, oh, I'm going to give them a bad review. Like, so you're going to ruin this person's day, potentially risk their job. Why? Because your bagel was cold. I mean, or, your coffee wasn't the right flavor. I mean, to me, that's an absurd response.
Yeah, of course.
We need to offer
it's
more.
Emotional unintelligence.
Exactly. See, now that is exactly what I was thinking when you mentioned that earlier. That's a great education for me, thinking about the emotional intelligence side. Offering compassion, well, not only is that it's filling my cup, it's filling that person's and potentially changing their day for the better.
Exactly.
So why not just be nice to them or ask them,
Well, A Course in Miracles taught me that if it's not an act of love, it's a call for it. And it's not always up to us to fulfill that call for love, but it can make you just be a little bit kinder.
Well, I have to tell you, that's probably the number one item of getting in the know on this show today.
Beautiful.
Is the art of love and how that plays literally into the medical field, because the emotional intelligence is going to trickle right into how we feel. I had a rough day on the tennis courts yesterday. I had an opportunity to meet up with my husband for a few minutes before jumping into an appointment, but he wanted to take me to lunch, and I said, okay. So I had a slight injury, but we got beat pretty bad. It was a competitive match, and what I didn't know beforehand that I found out after, so I was fortunate I played the top line for the team, which was a little bit of pressure, but we handled it well. We had fun. we were playing the number one team in our division. I didn't know that ahead of time, which is probably better.
Yes.
That I didn't know that. But in the second set, I ended up with an injury. I kind of like tore my hip flexor, but I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want it to get in my partner's head. And I just wanted to finish the match. But I was really down on myself about it. And when I met up with my husband, he read that on me immediately. He's like, why do you look like you just lost your puppy? And I was like, well, I was beating myself up about, I hit into the net or I didn't have a strong serve. Like I was going through all the things that were bad. And he was like, hold on a minute. So we went through all the things that were good. He's like, first of all, you got to play tennis. It was a beautiful day. It was a great morning, and you still have a whole day ahead of you, right? And he complimented me and he built me back up. Now, obviously, being my husband, it's kind of like his job, right, as my partner to be the yin to my yang.
You would think so.
In most cases.
You would think so.
Yes. But for me, whether it was him or one of my besties or even a nice conversation like what we were having together, to me, just being nice to somebody and recognizing that they need that, like you said.
Right.
Well,
most people that come to the chiropractors because they're in pain. Now, when I'm in pain, I'm not myself. So how could I judge someone that it is,
See, my grandfather always taught me
you
preventative.
get them out of pain, they might not be such a jerk.
Preventative care. I mean, I think a lot of patients should come and see you for preventative care so that they're not in pain, or when they are, they can probably manage it and work through it a bit easier, right?
Well, also, I mean, a little trick or a little thing I could share with people that they might not know is if we're ticklish somewhere. Like
Really?
tickle and pain is on the same track, right? So like if we're ticklish somewhere, it's actually like a precursor to something
Really?
dysfunctional. So, it's like we stub our toe and don't realize that we're trying to get the message, and then all of a sudden a brick hits our forehead. It's like, I told you to do this. You
Right.
didn't do this.
Right.
So, yeah, tickle spots are really, because tickling's like,
It's almost like a redirection of emotions.
well, also, but tickling's not fun.
Right.
We just laugh for whatever reason, but it's literally torture.
But laughter is the best medicine,
know.
isn't it? I mean, that's the number one rule in our house. If it's funny, you're not in trouble. And I feel like that helps us in so many ways. Sally, I have to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing, for being an open book about your journey, how you got there. And I want to give you a high five, sister, right here.
Oh, thank you.
Because I want women who are listening to really understand the power of getting past your fear. Because if she allowed fear to take over, she never would have gone back to college and she never would have become a doctor with this powerful story, great experience, and the ability now to heal others from the inside out. So if you enjoyed listening to our show today, I hope you'll continue listening, share it with someone else, and don't forget to give us a 5-star review. Thank you.
Thank you.